Hello, everyone. Welcome to another session with me where I'm talking about advanced level today into ultimate hunting and prospecting. So as you know, in business, there are a lot of possibilities out there to figure out how you are facing your businesses, how you're facing your prospects and clients. And there are plenty of ways to do that. So people who are just guessing and the people who are prepared, what do you think, who can be more trained? So with that, we want to start today's session. And this session is going to be for around, say, 35 minutes to 40 minutes. And today for participating, we have got Renu with me. So we'll quickly introduce Renu, and then I'll introduce myself, and then let us go ahead. So hi, Renu.
Hey, Amit.
Yep. So you can introduce quickly about yourself.
Sure. So I live in Bangalore, and I'm currently into my own business of virtual franchising, which I've been pursuing for last 4 years. And yeah, I think a quick one.
Right. So this is a kind of a session where we'll be talking about we'll take some examples of business. We'll talk about how we can do the prospecting and what are the depth of information are required in that. And hope this is something where you find value. We'll open a lot of question answer sessions here. So this is how I call it as a co-learning session. It is not going to be a coaching session typically where you have presentations and people can just look at the presentation and they cannot stop. You have all the rights and abilities to stop me. We can start these things. We can share this Excel sheet, and you can also put your inputs. So this is more of an interactive session. So we just quickly have a kind of a small agreement that let us have this entire thing more interactive. We can share questions and answers. Are you game for this?
Sure.
Awesome. Right. So let's minimize this and let's go ahead. Right. So the story goes like this. There are two ways of doing the business part. One is you open up a shop and you wait the whole day and you figure out how customers are falling in. Okay, that is one way. And little bit advanced way is something that you open up a shop or a store or a product or company, and then you do a little bit of marketing. So and then you find people again falling for the products and the offerings. So there the marketing has to play the entire game. And there is a third way, which I call it as go-getters, and this is something where we figure out hunting and prospecting. Okay, so today I'm talking about an advanced level of hunting and prospecting. I'll talk about the strategy. But before that, let me tell you, these are the three words: principle, strategy, and tactics. Okay, so real quickly, let me understand, what do you understand by the word principle in any business or anything? Any example you can also give me, not a problem.
Something which is defined, something like a law.
Okay, cool, right, nice. Okay, and what is strategy?
A set of tactics, techniques, tricks that may work.
Techniques set. Okay, cool. And this would be probably certain ways, right?
Yep.
So let me give you kind of a quick example, and let's go ahead. So we have this different laws, right? So let me give you a kind of a quick example, like gravity, right? Gravity existed before Newton. Do you agree?
True.
Yeah. But one fine day he found the apple falling, and then he said, okay, right, let me give you kind of a law of principle. But I feel is, it is because of the gravity, all the major accident happens. All the dishes breaks. Kids fall off. I think landslides and all shit happens because of gravity. If you have to blame that, right?
Right.
But if you see in the other perspective, we human beings have found out so many games: skydiving, skiing, cricket, football. Every damn thing needs gravity.
I agree.
Right. So the principle is the same. The principle works the same. But the thing is, how you focus, how you strategize the way, and how you utilize the game is what makes the difference. Whether you want to see in a kind of a sad way or want to make it a kind of a sport, it's up to you. Right.
Right.
So, okay, with gravity, I have another amazing thing. Um, Whenever there is a principle, people try to break that principle. People try to challenge that law, right? So many times it has happened.
Yeah.
And the example I was talking about is gravity. And I think not only us, our ancestors have been trying to define gravity. We love to see magicians levitating some stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
We always try to feel, okay, let me fly high. Okay, with the word fly, let me understand. Now, to challenge gravity, and the word was flying. So I think many of us has taken the umbrella or wore that robe of Superman, have jumped from bed on something, right? Right. You've seen all this stuff. There are
Yes.
two people who challenged this on a larger scale, on a very larger scale, and they're called as Wright brothers, right?
Yeah.
Sorry, pardon the spelling. So when you see these gentlemen, these two people, what are they challenging about? Can they ever define gravity? Technically, no. Probably for some instance, you could think of, right?
Mm.
So they created a kind of a system by which they were able to define the law of gravity for some time, might be 5 minutes, 1 minute, I don't know what was the minimum flight, I guess, flight time.
Mm-hmm.
They were able to define gravity, right?
Yes.
Don't you think if they have not challenged gravity, there wouldn't be a second principle coming up, a second law? It is only because they have challenged this, there is another law called as law of aerodynamics.
Yes.
Do you see that?
True.
And someone challenged this law, came with something called as law of escape velocity.
Yes.
Someone challenged this. They went into space, and there are so many other laws that came into thing, right? So this is just to tell you that the principle remains the same. Once you challenge the principle, you come out with a different way of figuring out another law. And the way you do it is with different strategy. I'm sure Wright brothers have failed multiple amount of time. They have flopped.
Mm.
Not only them, probably many people have flopped. People have, died as well, probably trying out how to fly,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Right.
So what happened was the strategy didn't work. They always try to find out, okay, some minute changes, and okay, let me just tune up the wings or the tail or put a new engine. So they always tried something called as tactics.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Yes.
so far so good,
Yes.
right? Don't you think we have got business principles also similarly like that?
Yes.
Law of demand and supply, law of
Demand.
economics, law of all the statistics.
Right.
There's so many laws of business are there. So, and when we saw law, there are people who have tried, tested everything, and they found these are certain things which you cannot change. These are the kind of golden rules.
Mm-hmm.
They always try to play around along with that with different strategies, right?
Yes.
So let me put it this way: is the law is something that I'm not going to be changing, but I have the power to change my strategy with the different tactics that I do. Is that fine?
Yes.
And today I'm going to talk about the strategies that I have used and I have gained, probably I'll say better mileage than anything else. But the
Mm.
principle is not something that I'm challenging. So that's the agreement before we go ahead. So this is something which is tried tested by me. I found it works, and I've created a strategy book, and it is yet a tactics and a strategy. It has not gone into the level of a principle so far,
Okay.
right? So I'll talk about these things as the law of prospecting. So this is what is not yet proved. So I'm writing is unproven law of prospecting. Okay. Do you think it's a nice name for my book?
Yes, it is.
Right. So in this law of prospecting, let me understand the first part is, so I have one strategy. So I'm putting it as strategy one. Okay. Now, this strategy is actually taken from a different principle. It's called as law of giving. Okay, law of giving, law of sharing. Okay, so whenever you share or whenever you give, there is a potential exchange happen, and there can be a psychological exchange of emotions also. You might be happy, you might be sad. Whenever you give, there is an emotional exchange happens. Right? Whatever you are sharing, without any kind, if you have a commercial attached to it or not, but there is some kind of an emotion attached to this law of giving. Thanksgiving or sharing, anything, right? So strategy number one I had was, I'm not typing it down, but probably let me put it this way. The strategy comprises of a couple of tactics, and the first tactics one, okay, is it's called as sharing value. Okay. So right now I'm talking to you, I'm trying to share a value, and this is something informative which you can use it for your business and grow your income, and you can be rich, and after you be rich, you can use the money in whatever the way you want, again, to make your life much more happier, enjoyable, timing, and blah blah. You see, there is a value.
Okay.
So in the sharing value tactics, what I was trying to do was, the first three things was, how do I reach a prospect? So rather than let the shop open and wait for the entire day, which is more of a predictable business, and you need a kind of an astrologer to figure out when you're going to get your business, we went in a different direction, and we found out that this particular thing works better. So rather than waiting, we go and hunt down different kind of businesses. So this is what I'm calling it as hunting. Okay. What happens here is, we select certain businesses, select businesses. Okay. Now these businesses are, which is there in your locality, region, country, or abroad, whichever the place. It is up to your wish how you are selecting the criteria of selecting. I leave it to you. So select business. When I say, there might be many criteria. Okay. So let's put in some of the criteria. Geography, do you think it's a good criteria?
Yeah.
Okay. Business model, products, price,
segment.
Yeah, so it comes under business model. So let's stick on to something like this. We can go still beyond about all these things as well. And so when I'm talking about this particular part, now this is a criteria by which I have got certain options. Okay, so let us not put the select business here. So with all this, we get the selection part of the business. So everything falls into the selection part. So I'm just putting a different color so that you can make sure. Okay. Now, after we select the business, we have this options. We have got a lot of options. Okay. So these are options on the business one, business two. Now you have figured out with these criteria, like what are the kind of options we can have. So let's say we zeroed into option X. Okay. So he has good geography. I mean, your availability is better. You can talk to this guy. You know some people in that area. You know the language. So geography actually does a lot of things for you, right?
Right.
And it also can give you a lot of ideas, like how much you have to commute. Is there a way we can, probably understand the language of those areas, the ethnicity, the culture, the buying processes, right? So geography answers many such informations. The business model, products, price, many other things can be there. So let's say we have zeroed after all this thing have, like we understood, okay, we are good in this. We selected one option of the business, and this business is run by someone. Now the thing is, what we do is we generate a kind of a value. We figure out, the next point is we figure out. Okay. So usually in any businesses, there is a common thing. People would love to have more clients. Right? People would love to have more clients.
Okay.
And thereby more business, thereby more conversions, and thereby maximum your entire business value. So we figure out those things, and we try to say in a language that, how about if we can probably in a couple of days we make a kind of a phone call with him, and we say in a couple of days, how about we bring in some business, and if any business is probably struck, would you mind sharing a couple of $1,000, thousand rupees for us? So only when if you feel that the business is working, you pay us up. How do you feel? You don't pay me if you have not converted the customer. So that's the value we talk about. Like, we're gonna be hunting the entire prospect for you. We give it to you. You convert the customer, and if there is a deal, share us a kind of a small amount. We'll do all the things to get the business to you. Right? You don't share the money before that. Right? Now this is the value strategy ticks. The tactics number 1, which works. So we go there and we share this value of sharing new business opportunity, okay, or else let us call it as NCA, new customer acquisition kind of. So we help you to do this NCA. Fair enough?
Yes.
So most of the time people say yes. And okay, let me have a kind of small interactive session with you. What can be the major no's, or yeah, any idea?
In a case where a business may not be allowed to partner with a third party entity for such deals, maybe.
Yeah. So, but the thing is, we have not yet signed up. I'm just giving it as a value addition. I don't want anything in return. Only when you get a lead converted and you get the money and the check in your hand, at that point of time, just as a courtesy, can we charge a little bit over there, a small fraction? Are you open to that?
Yeah, why not? Then I don't see a reason why a business would not go for it.
Yeah. So this works for me most of the time. So what we do is, I can tell you, we design a kind of a small marketing platform for him. We do the normal marketing techniques that we have, like Facebook, Google, and stuff. We pay upfront around a small amount of money, and we try to send him around 10-15 people. And if he's able to call and understand, okay, these are genuine people who are looking at his advertisements and getting the call, he has no idea what kind of ads I'm going. All right. So we directly go with a proof of around 15 leads, 10 to 15 leads, which is quite a big number for him. Okay. So this is the back end of it. So I'm actually disclosing you the techniques. As I said, this is a class of ultimate advanced level of prospecting. So this is the first thing, we win hard. And we win hard with trust. Because you are not paying, right?
Right.
So I have got one more formula of trust is, okay, so there is a small equation, and yeah, so it's called as, let me give you the trust equation. Okay, let me probably write it in a bold way somewhere here. Just check this. So as I said, this is a tactics. This is not a principle, but if you feel that this can be a principle, fine, you can use that, no problem. So I found this is actually working fine with me. I call it as value plus time is equal trust. Okay.
Okay.
So you need, if you are dedicating some time and you are sharing that high-end value, and you can have value criteria, like value in terms of being irreplaceable, quantified, mega. Okay, this usually brings out the word called as trust. So I'm going to be talking more about into this. So I'm spending more time, and I'm giving some detailed structure of this entire conversation in terms of a value which you can use. Plus, now this entire session is recorded as well, which gives another value. You can use it multiple amount of time. You can go back, read every part, and you can see how the entire thing came into existence, right?
Right.
So ultimately, this Excel sheet will take a form of a different diagram altogether. It will have its own structure, and only people who are looking at this video at the end of the video with this entire set of diagram they will have certain thing on their mind, right? So that's the value of co-learning with such kind of a recorded structure. So let me go understand and do this part is, let me take a small 30 seconds pause and let me understand. So far, any doubts?
No, I'm
Okay.
good. Thanks.
Okay. Everything, all the points are clear. Any inputs?
Yes, it's so far so good. Yeah.
Right. So do you think this tactics is something that can work for any business?
Yes, why not?
Yeah. So what do you think the tactics involve?
What does it involve?
Yeah. You want me to help you, or you can go ahead?
I didn't get the question. As in, involve in what sense?
Okay. This involves hard work.
Okay.
This involves innovation,
Time,
time.
creativity,
Yeah. So innovation, creativity. I'm putting it in one way.
um,
Okay.
thorough understanding,
Okay. And how do you get understanding? You have to.
by doing some market research, some
Okay.
homework,
Okay. Okay. Anything else?
um,
You have to spend money. You have to bait.
yes,
So this is, I call it as the baiting money.
experimentation,
Yeah, experimentation. Okay. Cool.
monitoring, tracking.
Tracking. Okay. I think pretty much. I think we have covered a good number of points.
Focus could be another one, maybe.
So I put it as an attribute here.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. Right. Cool. Right. So I think as I said, you see the tactics works, but the tactics is working only when you are able to involve all these things.
Right.
And while you are doing all these things, don't you think this is something which is increasing in number? Understanding. The more you are understanding about the product.
Yes.
So when you understand more, you can relate more. You can actually step into his shoes and figure out why he is in a struggling position. So this is actually helping you to figure out your pain point of the business. What do you feel?
Yes.
Right? So if I say, now you know about a lot of things because you have done your research, you are more informed, you have invested time, you have invested money, you are experimenting and tracking. I'm sure this is something that he would love his any partner to do before he plunges into going and talking to him. Right? You
Right.
exactly know what to offer, and you don't sound cheesy, you don't sound salesy because you know his pain points.
Right.
Right? So now what has happened is you have given the most important part is called as time. Just understand, if I talk to you now, you also are an entrepreneur, right?
Right.
If I come back to you and if I've not invested on your stuff, I've not Googled about you, I don't know your business, I don't know your website, I don't know your Facebook, I don't know anybody in your entire system, and I directly come and says, okay, madam, I have got this amazing thing, why don't you take this bottle? Would you take it? Right? So
Yeah.
let me take a quick sip of water.
Sure.
Right. Thank you. Okay, so let's go into the deeper level of it. So now do you see, after doing all these things, we have done these things even before, we have started to work out. So what the thing is, this is the tactics number one involves a phone call. It all starts with a phone call. Okay. So after the selecting of the business and we have figured out this option X, so let's put option X in little bluish color. Okay. And so what we do is we have figured out all the things, and now we do a kind of a phone call. Okay. Now this is, I don't call it as a cold call, but I call it as a discovery phone call. It is about discovering ourselves. So only when I do this discovery phone call and I say him the same words that I've told you, okay, ma'am, how about in the next 3 days, I'm going to share some amazing interested people to look into your business. And if you get business out of this, guys, would you be interested to share a small amount and understand that we have more a relationship which you can work for the next 6 months if we prove that? You
Yes.
see, I have pre-framed the entire thing, right? So
Right.
once I get a yes from him, okay, so yes is always a kind of a good signal. So let me put it this way: we start our involvement to indulgement. Okay.
Okay.
So what happens is once we start all these things, we have done the things, we set up the entire marketing campaign and all the stuff. We start the marketing and actually we send the leads to him in the next 3 days. Okay.
Okay.
Now, for getting these 3 leads or 4 leads, let's say 10 leads, it might be we are spending around 5,000 max, not more than that. Right. Any which ways, this is something a prospect who has no understanding like what has happened in the back end. He has no idea. I'm
Mm-hmm.
giving him a ready piece of a cake, and that's the value.
Mm-hmm.
That's the value. So once I do that, and if I let's say I have that particular day I'm sharing the leads. Now I'm not bothered these are hot or cold or all these things, but these guys are interested because they have seen the advertisement, and after seeing the advertisement, they have clicked that bloody stuff, and they have gone into a page. I can talk about that later. And now these guys are directly routed to the client. So client makes a call. So he does basically all the nurturing stuff, nurturing and conversion. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And when he does that, he will be also looking into how did you come to know about us? Sir, I saw your advertisement. Wow, man. Great. Awesome. So are you interested? Yeah, tell me more about it. So he does all the due diligence and does this. So what is happening is now the trust is actually getting into a level which I call it as confidence. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And now I call it as this confidence is also bringing him clarity.
Okay.
Right? So you see, this confidence and clarity these are like byparts of the word called as trust.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now once you have that, that's the time we set up a one-on-one call, one-on-one meeting. Because as promised, we have already delivered. So he has paid the bucks. So we spent 2,000 or 5,000 bucks, and since he has got around 10 people or 20 people, and he has converted anyone, he pays a small fraction of it just to take out that amount. And now in the one-on-one meeting, because as he has already committed that if it works, we're going to be working for 6 months. If it is okay, and can we have a call?
Mm-hmm.
Right? So there is no question of money coming in between, you see.
Right.
So it's the biggest objection or rejection we have already segmented out.
Yes.
Right? So what happens in the one-on-one meeting? So this is, as I said, I'll repeat once more here. This is something which is a secret Bible, I'll say. That's a secret way of doing it. Now I'm opening it up because you see there is no treachery, no other things happening here. It's a pure play white business.
Okay.
Are you able to see that?
Yes.
It's more about giving. It's more about indulging. It's more about how I can do something better. And when you do that, the emotion which floats out is only happy sharing, giving, caring.
Yes.
Right?
Right.
So today we'll be talking about the next segment, which is called as the hunting and prospecting, part 2, 101, face off. So here, now the meeting is set. We have an agenda. We have a time. He has already given a time, and we are all up and ready. So I'm not going into what you wear and how and stuff and all those things. But the idea is now, since we are working together as co-learners, what I would wish my team or rather our team to do is we should be well ahead of time. So my first thing is the strategy number 2, or I'll say tactics 2. Okay, let's put it this way. Where is the tactics? Yeah. So this much is tactics. Okay. Tactics number 2 is be well ahead of time. What does it mean? It means get time to understand in physically how his product and system is working. Probably go one day ahead and just get a vision of it, like get into the stuff, get used to the team. If you can probably get in peep of the product, the services, how he does it, talk to these clients. So this is more about figuring out more. So you are actually giving more time to understand better. And this time it is, I call it as touch and feel. Okay.
Okay.
So when you give so much of time, don't you think you will be getting more information? Now already you know what is happening online.
Yes.
And now you are actually trying to figure out what all the things happens offline. What is real stuff, the actual juice behind his product.
Right.
So there are a couple of things we can do. We can have a factory visit. I mean, we can talk about all those things. We can have a client's understanding, client to client understanding, means his clients, how they react, what kind of ratios are there, how they are actually feeling about it. Can I take an appointment with one of the clients and talk to them? His employees over there, his teammates, the things he reads. And so we have got a better insight about his business.
Right.
Right. So this is about better, enhanced observation.
He would gladly open the doors once the trust and confidence is built.
No, we are, as I said, we have not yet met. So this entire tactics is when we are yet to meet.
Okay.
Okay. So this is a kind of a homework that I usually do before even going and talking to my clients.
Okay.
Okay. And now I pretty much know how his office is, what kind of parking he has, what kind of cars are there in his parking, right? So let's do all these things. Is the way we can indulge in the meeting is the entire intention is to have this relationship go for at least 6 months, and with a thorough understanding of informations of what he does, we can also look at getting his business to a next level, and we figure out if we can do that or not. It's about more of knowing ourselves also, if he's an actual fit or not. So you see, in these two tactics itself, the strategy is already defined. So this is called as strategy, and what I'm doing is right now called as tactics.
Got it.
Got it?
Mm-hmm.
So this is the first strategy. So let me just call it as the pink strategy. Let me just standing out. Okay, pink strategy. Right. I don't know, how do you like the name? Okay. So
Okay.
strategy number, now the tactics has been done. So I'm talking about the strategy, which I call it as the meeting. Okay. So far is the strategy of hunting one side of the prospect. Okay. Now the strategy 2 is basically to figure out how we can close the prospect on one-on-one meeting personally. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm putting it as strategy 2. In the strategy, I have written a couple of words on the left-hand side. So for time being, just avoid those things. I will take one by one, each one of them, and let's see how to use those things. So strategy number 2 is completely an offline thing. As I said, we are meeting this guy, and we are trying to figure out. So the ways by which you can network, okay, that is the right word, network, or you can connect, is to the strategy. So the strategy 2 is basically for me, it is more into networking and connecting.
Okay.
Okay, and this is happening live in front. So there are basically 6 ways you can do that. Only 6 ways.
Okay.
So the first thing is, let's say I'm meeting you for the first time, and I say, "Hi, man, how are you? Let's have a coffee, and we talk about stuff and blah blah." So this, guys, the way of doing it, I call it as the flirting technique. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And it is more of that cheesy stuff where you try to talk to this guy in a different way. You show some happy stuff, you show him the shiny objects, and there is always a kind of a woo over or woo me over kind of an attitude.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But understand one thing. This is the guy whom I call it as the shameless,
Okay.
right? Okay. When I was in college, okay, and I'm not in me, but every college, every school will have a pretty looking girl always, right? Okay. And I am dead sure whoever has proposed her is the guy who needs guts,
Mhm.
and he has to be shameless,
Okay.
right?
Right.
And sometimes shameless pays, man. Check out the guy who is actually being a kind of, who has that girl as a girlfriend. I'm sure he has done stuff like this. He has to be shameless. He has to be shameless. He has to go and talk to. And another way of doing it is also there. I'm showing you. This is like how to woo over somebody we are meeting for the first time. Okay. Now, I will just rest my case in this part so much because we can go deeper, as much deeper as you can go. How to become shameless. Might be another book can come out. Okay. Detective. Now, this is something where I am more comfortable. I do this stuff, lot of stuff. Okay, so you call me as a detective, a spy, whatever. I mean, it's okay. So what I do is I go before, right? So now pay attention to this.
Okay.
I go before well in advance. Okay, and I try to figure out which location he is. Okay, so I basically more of observe. Okay, he stays in a posh area. He stays in a flat, an apartment. What kind of flats? What kind of apartment? Is it a very posh apartment? Okay, what is the average square footage of this? Is he staying on the top, or the penthouse, or is he staying on somewhere on the closest things? Okay, cool, right. So, is it a gated community or not, or is it a villa or a condominium? And what kind of car he has? You see, this is all happening. I have not yet met him. And I go to the security guy, probably ask him, okay, what kind of people come here? I mean, how much time do usually they stay on? So you know what I'm doing now, right? I'm more of prospecting this. I go a little deeper into this. I go and wait his lounge, and I find out, okay, if there is a receptionist or not. Is there a personal, what to say, bodyguard sometimes, and figure out the level of his VIP or VVIP status. Okay. And I figure out about a lot of things like the carpets, the portraits. The portraits are really handmade or it is just bought and stuck there. You see, there are two ways of looking into that, right? So if it is handmade, that means has a taste, he has a niche, he likes something, and he can go to that level that he can afford and he can stick it in his house, right?
Right.
And if he is just buying some portraits just for a decoration stuff, you know what is it? What kind of table he has? Is it a paper fry table, a normal paper fry table of like 20,000 bucks to 1 lakh bucks, or is it something which is custom made, like probably Austin's or Stanley's or those kind of things? Okay, the high names. So basically, once you get inside, you do all these things, and you're doing all this calculative stuff, right? And then you figure out certain areas to connect with them. Okay. So
Right.
detective is more into observing and finding the connect.
Right.
Right. Promoter. Coming to the next one, the promoter. Okay. What does a promoter do? Sir, take this. This is the great product for you. This is the best thing, right? This is an amazing, amazing holiday session. Why don't you jump in this? So this is a guy who is always trying to be promoting something, selling something. Now, for me, promotion happens in two ways. One is self-promotion, okay, and another thing is promoting for somebody. So I call it as affiliate. So promoter guy works in a different language. He is the person who is more of self-centered. So the networking happens in a different way here. He is more of the talking guy, okay, and sometimes it is good to be the talking guy because promotion is more about sharing what is your product and your services better. So this is about more of a self introduction sort of, okay, which is not bad, You need to do sometimes the promotion you have to do yourself. Okay, but you should know how to do that. Now, another way to woo over him is show him that you are the successful guy, right? You have a better wardrobe and stuff, and you know your industry. So when I say success, you are an industry expert. You know your game, man. You know that, right? You wear the high heels. You know the stuff. So it is more about that you have been that. You have been that and done that.
Right.
You see this?
Yes.
Just see, in through weddings or in networking session, this is something which happens always, right? So when you approach someone and try to figure out, okay, people gel with people who are really little above them, the successful guys, so-called successful guys, or okay. And then comes the man. Man means I'm the responsible guy. You see that?
Yeah.
Okay. So this guy is acting in a different way. He is more protective. He is like little caring. On the same time, he's what do you call that? He's like, doing that shielding stuff for you. Okay.
Protective.
Yeah. So he opens the door for you. He says, "After you, ma'am." That gentleman attitude kind of guy. Okay. Don't take me wrong. I do all the shit. Okay. And I'm sorry, I was just joking. What I did right now is I made a part of entertainment and a laughter. This is all pre-planned. I did play the word called as comedian, the next topic. So I made a sense of a little lightness and I made you to smile. I'm the smile guy. Okay? Now, the combination of all these things are required. Okay. So I meet you for the first time. I talk to you I just probably get that any one of them. I figure out what is the best way to be closer to you. Might be I can do a bit of the man kind of a thing and flirting kind of a thing. Flirting of this is like, wow, you have an amazing house. You wear a nice, gorgeous sari, and you look amazing. Blah blah blah. These things, right? The way of flattery, right? So you need all these 6 qualifications inside you to figure out what would work. So when I say flattery, the flirting can be done in a much more professional way also. Okay. So here is this lady who has a business in Dubai and she is into events. She is a celebrity herself and she was staying in one of the 7-star, I think 5-star hotel of Bangalore, Leela Palace, and I happened to meet her last year. And I tried to do the flattery with her. Okay. And I was telling her the flattering thing in a different way. And I was more of praising that entire thing. So I like the way her signature is horrible. Let me tell you very honestly. Her signature is horrible, but the way she is holding the pen, it has a different style. She writes with her left hand.
Okay.
And you know what? The stuff which just in me, I was like more flirting. I think the style by which you write your signature, it is definitely something which I have not seen. It's incredible the way you do it. And she was like, "What? Signature? Okay, style of holding the that's very posh. I don't know how you got that, but this shows the air of yours. I mean, you should be practicing this quite often. So this is how I am doing it. How does it? So I just told her about that. I did a little bit of flattery and I made her to talk.
Okay.
Oh man, I am a left-handed guy. My friend and my fiance, he's also a left-handed guy, but he writes like this. Okay, cool. So your fiance, that's the guy with the red jacket on that thing. I saw her here. Now my detective thing starts working. You see that?
Yeah.
And probably I just hop into a second language once the discussion starts again. And at that time, okay, how about we both sit down together and we just show you something like what I do. Now at this point of time, I was more of a promoter.
Yes.
Okay, but if it is not possible for you, man, it's fine. I can show you how I do it. So I'm becoming, the man of, I'll say more of a content expert. I know that stuff. Okay. And this is how I have got stuff. Now this is the time when I'm slowly fixing up being a successful thing. Because if I am successful with that particular model of product or services, it's going to work for you. You see?
Mm-hmm.
I have already done all this stuff with him now.
Yeah.
The next session is always probably put a gesture of comedian that will make the entire B2B communication more lively. Otherwise, it's, you know how it has happened. It'll become the gloomy face. Okay? So we call it as the goofy. Goofy is something which is required sometimes. Always end the session being a comedian on a high note, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and the high note is something that will take you to a next level. And the next strategy is here. Strategy 3. Have a clear agenda set. If it is not an agenda, at least put him on the kind of a front of information that what you have in your mind is, I have an agenda. Okay, what do you want? Okay, I have a purpose. Okay, and if you can talk to him on the same day, amazing. Probably take time. Don't open your mouth unless and until you understand that this guy has time or not, because the sense of having him completely involved in your communication will make you understand, should you take the main topic today or you want to fix up some other time. The decision is yours.
Right.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
And once it is done, please fix a nod. Nod means a yes from him. So do you want me to come down probably on the same place on Church Street at so and so time? Is that going to be working out for him? Options, share options. Okay, and make him understand clearly on the expectations that he should have, his expectations have. And also tell him around 75% of stuff where he knows what you are going to offer.
Mm-hmm.
Offer, okay. And yep. So strategy 3 is basically to take his time out and fix up a, now this is something which I call it as, the first one was discovery call and all these things. Now we are talking about the closing call, right? So that comes in stage 4. It's called a strategy 4.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So far, let me take a small break and understand. So far, how do you feel?
Yes.
What are the inputs? Any inputs you want to share?
Helps. It's good. Helps understand more.
Do you think this is something you can use for your own industry?
Yes.
Okay. Do you think anybody else can use that stuff that you have done? Probably. Does it fit to everyone? Mostly, not 100%, might be the majority.
Majority, yes.
Yeah. But do you feel anywhere I have used certain things that I look salesy and pushy and all those things?
No way.
Okay. So my last question is, do you think the time that I've devoted and the value that I've given would go from, the trust, beyond trust? I call it as confidence, clarity based kind of stuff.
True.
Right?
Yes.
So I'll put it this way. I'm just trying to figure out a good name for this. I think I got that. I think this is a kind of a good way to, right? I'm just thinking of this. So it's called confidence, clarity, and now strategy 4 is all about control. Right? Are there so far? Yes. Okay. So let me call this strategy as the control strategy, and where you should have the authority. So your client assumes that he has the authority, but who has the authority now?
You.
Exactly. And that's the time we negotiate on us, not on him, on us. And we share the same thing, which I love the word, and I'm sure you will get a smile out of it. It's called as, we have a
problem.
Yeah, we guys will have always a problem. I don't know, but we have always a problem. And I love that thing. Okay. So with that, probably let me rest my cases today. So far, you see what all things you have learned today is how exactly you can penetrate so easily. Now, what is happening so far is I'm not doing the shopkeeper business. I'm not waiting for the prospect. You see, I design my own destiny. Nice word. How much time you want to devote? It's up to you. You want to earn faster? Okay. You want to earn in a regular way? Okay. So you see, this is a kind of a principle which we have came down in terms of strategy. And the principle was basically demand and supply. We just reinvented a couple of strategies. We have this new 4 strategy now. Go, penetrate, hit, and close. Okay. Do you think you can use this? How do you feel?
Yes, certainly.
Okay. And how much you want to earn? I'm not going to know the dollars or the amount, but do you think how much you can earn? This is the same thing you can use?
Yes.
Okay.
True.
So is there a commitment that you will be using it in your statements or using it in your business?
Definitely.
Awesome. So let me thank you with that, Renu. It was a pleasure to have you with me today. Hope I could give you that value and the time. And I'm trying to figure out if I can got your trust.
Yeah, sure. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Thanks for your time.
So do we have a next meeting?
Yes.
The next meeting is something that we can share what all value I can give it to you so that I can talk about more of control. You see, at this point of time, I'm just closing you on this.
Got it.
Right?
Yeah.
So, so with that, let me end this entire session. It was a pleasure definitely to have you there as a nice participant, and hope the viewers are also looking at this. If you find any kind of things that you want to share with me, you can ask me the questions. Do you want to be a flirt? Or do you want to be the detective, promoter, success, and man? You want me to share more informations? You have it in the comment box. You can stay up there. And if you have not yet subscribed and not yet liked it, over to you. Either you lose or you win. The decision is yours, and every decision is something which makes you a better you. Right? So looking forward. Stay tuned. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.